Have you ever signed your name and felt like you were giving away a piece of your soul? The Whispering Pine Inn sat at the crossroads of nowhere, its weathered sign creaking in the autumn wind. Sarah Chen pulled into the gravel parking lot, her phone showing 0 bars and her gas tank nearly empty. The GPS had died 20 miles back, leaving her with nothing but the inn's flickering neon vacancy sign as guidance. The lobby smelled of old wood and lavender, a combination that should have been comforting but somehow felt wrong. Behind the reception desk, an elderly woman with silver hair smiled warmly, her eyes never quite meeting Sarah's gaze. "Welcome to Whispering Pine. Please sign our guest book." The woman's voice carried a strange melody, like wind chimes in a storm. Sarah approached the leather-bound book lying open on the counter. The pages were yellowed with age, filled with signatures dating back decades. She noticed something odd immediately. The handwriting styles were dramatically different, but many of the names were strikingly similar. John Smith appeared 17 times, but each signature looked like it belonged to a completely different person. Mary Johnson's name appeared 12 times, the letters growing more erratic with each entry. "Interesting guest book," Sarah murmured, signing her name with her usual careful script. The woman's smile widened. "Oh yes. Very interesting indeed. People leave such lasting impressions here." Sarah's room was on the second floor, overlooking the parking lot where her car sat alone under a flickering streetlight. She settled in for the night, exhaustion overtaking her curiosity about the strange signatures. She woke at 3 in the morning to the sound of footsteps in the hallway, soft, shuffling steps that seemed to pause outside her door before moving on. Sarah pressed her ear to the door, but heard only silence. When she finally drifted back to sleep, she dreamed of ink flowing backward, words unwriting themselves. The next morning, Sarah stopped by the front desk to ask about breakfast. The guest book lay open to the same page, but something made her look closer. Her signature was different. The careful loops of her letters had become sharp, angular. The S in Sarah looked almost violent, slashing across the page like a wound. "Did someone else sign after me?" she asked the elderly woman who was watering plants that seemed to wither at her touch. "Oh, no, dear. Guests rarely sign twice. Once is usually sufficient." Sarah stared at her signature again. It definitely looked different, but she couldn't shake the feeling that maybe she was misremembering. Handwriting could change when you were tired, couldn't it? That afternoon, she explored the inn's common areas, finding old photographs lining the walls. Guest photos from decades past, smiling faces posed in front of the inn. She noticed something disturbing. In photos spanning 30 years, the same faces appeared again and again. Different clothes, different decades, but unmistakably the same people. A photo from 1987 showed a woman who looked exactly like Sarah herself, standing in the same lobby wearing clothes from that era. Her hands trembling, Sarah returned to the guest book. Her signature had changed again. The letters were now completely different, written in a spidery hand that belonged to someone else entirely. Worse still, the date next to her name had changed, too. It now read 1987. She flipped through the pages frantically. Every signature was shifting, morphing, becoming something else. Names she'd seen the day before were now written in completely different hands. John Smith's 17th entry was now in elegant cursive, though yesterday it had been in block letters. "The book remembers everyone," the elderly woman appeared beside her. "And everyone becomes part of its memory." Sarah looked down at her own hands. They looked different, somehow. Older. The wedding ring she'd never worn gleamed on her finger. In the mirror behind the reception desk, her reflection wore clothes from decades past. "Who am I?" Sarah whispered. The woman smiled, her face shifting like water. "You're everyone who's ever signed the book, dear, and everyone who ever will." Sarah tried to remember her life before the inn, but the memories felt thin, insubstantial. Had she always been here? The signature in the book now read, Mary Johnson, in handwriting that felt both foreign and familiar. She looked at the photograph on the wall again. The woman who looked like her was still there, but now she was smiling a different smile. A smile that belonged to someone else entirely. The guest book lay open, waiting for the next traveler to sign their name and leave a piece of themselves behind forever.